Imagine swiping your card at midnight and every card gets rejected until one black card with the number 666 suddenly works. The machine asks you one creepy question. Do you want to make a deal? And the moment you press yes, your normal life is over. Because this card doesn't give you free money. It drags you into a secret financial district where businessmen fight using monsters. Every battle is a money duel. And if you go bankrupt, you don't just lose cash, you lose your future. An anime begins in the middle of the night where a man keeps trying to use his cards at a machine, but every card gets rejected until that strange black card finally activates. And when the machine asks him if he wants to make a deal, he accepts. Then the screen tells him to choose an opponent. After this, the man walks out holding the card, and the card somehow pulls him into a mysterious car, where he tells the driver to take him to the financial district, and the vehicle passes through a portal toward that hidden world. Inside the grand financial district, we hear a man wondering whether money is something simple or something far more complicated. And then, the building transports him into a bar-like place, where we meet Suichiro Mikuni and Masakaki. Both of them discuss a duel they must attend, then use their cards to teleport into the city, where they meet the man with the 666 card. Mikuni faces him by using his cards to summon monsters that fight for him. The man tries to hit Mikuni's summoned creature with an energy sword, but the attack gets blocked, and Mikuni uses that opening to strike him down with a sword made of cards. After this, the scene shifts to Heisei University of Economics, where our protagonist, Yoga Kimimaro, is introduced in the cafeteria while talking with Hanabi. She asks why he is so obsessed with studying, and Kimimaro says that if he does not study, he will not have enough time. Their conversation gets interrupted by two students who ask if they are going to tomorrow's party, but both of them say no. Kimimaro then quickly leaves the cafeteria to withdraw money from the ATM, clearly realizing he cannot afford to go to that party. In another scene, Yoga is sleeping on a train while the man with the 666 card, who was standing at the station, suddenly throws himself in front of it. Later, we see Yoga working at a store, where he talks with his coworker about how unstable jobs have become in Japan. Yoga says his dream is to gain financial stability and start a family, but his coworker tells him that dream is very hard if the government does nothing to fix the economy. Yoga then realizes his shift is over and leaves that store to go to another job, because he works several part-time jobs just to save money for the future he wants. Afterward, Kimimaro sees Hanabi waiting outside for him, so he walks over to her, and she tells him there will be a surprise exam. Since the professor lent her his notebook, she prepared all the notes for him. Hanabi tells Yoga to use his phone more often in case he ever needs help, but Yoga admits he does not have enough money to buy one. She calls him a liar because she knows he has money saved, but he simply refuses to spend it. Kimimaro invites her to get something to drink at a restaurant, but she rejects him, saying her boyfriend is waiting for her, and this quietly hurts the protagonist. Later, Yoga returns to his apartment and studies, but when he wakes up, he realizes morning has already arrived. He steps outside, yet everything suddenly turns into night, and when he opens the door again, Masakaki is standing there. Masakaki introduces himself and says he wants to talk about a funds transfer, but Yoga is not interested and tries to close the door. Masakaki stops him, so Kimimaro shoves him outside and locks the door, only to turn around and see Masakaki inside again. Masakaki asks if he does not want to request a loan, but Yoga refuses and throws him out again. Then the protagonist suddenly appears with him in an empty space, where Masakaki explains that yesterday, one place opened up for an entrepreneur in the financial district. He says substitutes are chosen randomly, and Yoga was selected. Yoga ignores everything and keeps studying, while Masakaki explains that he is now an entrepreneur, though it is easier to call him an entree. Yoga asks him to explain things more simply, so Masakaki says the whole financial process becomes easier if he accepts the loan, but signing this loan comes with a dangerous cost because he could lose half of his remaining life. Masakaki tempts him by saying he will have so much money that he can go out with friends, quit part-time jobs, and live peacefully without being crushed by the system. Yoga asks what Masakaki really is, because he does not seem human, and right after this, the protagonist wakes up and thinks everything was only a dream. The next day, he checks his bank account and realizes he suddenly has 500 to 5,000 yen. In the cafeteria at Heisei, Hanabi asks Yoga if the exam went well, and he says yes. The same students return to ask if he will go to the party, and this time Yoga says he will think about it, leaving them surprised. Later, the protagonist tells his co-workers at the store about the money, and they all give him the same answer. The proper thing would be to report it, but because of the country's situation, maybe he should use it. Yoga goes to an ATM to withdraw the money, and when he takes it, Masakaki appears again, revealing that the money he received came from fraud, but only through that method can he find his father. This angers the protagonist, and he tries to hit him, but Masakaki shows him the black card of the district, explaining that with this card, he can withdraw any amount of money from any ATM, but in exchange, Masakaki will take Yoga's future as collateral. Kimimaro tries to resist Masakaki's control, but a car suddenly appears out of nowhere and the vehicle starts moving, taking Yoga to the district while leaving him completely stunned. It stops at the plaza, and Masakaki introduces him to the Midas Bank Plaza, where countless people are gathered. Kimimaro asks what all these people are doing, and Masakaki says this is a place where entrepreneurs are helped through deals. Then he tells Yoga to look up, revealing that above the district, there is a huge database showing every member's information and competition record. He explains that every entrepreneur must make at least one deal per week. Participating is a right, but it is also an obligation. Masakaki guides Yoga to a road where they meet a man who will be the protagonist's opponent. Masakaki tells him to look at his card, and when Yoga does, he accidentally summons a girl named Miss Yu. Masakaki explains that she is his asset, but she interrupts him by punching the protagonist and scolding him for not paying attention to the fight. Both rivals activate their cards, and the duel begins. The man throws a steel sphere at them, and Miss Yu blocks the attack, but the enemy uses that moment to get closer and tries to strike Yoga. Miss Yu steps in front of him. Her arm gets injured, but even then, she keeps protecting Kimimaro from every attack. The protagonist asks what is happening, and Masakaki reveals that if Yoga gets damaged, he will fall into bankruptcy and lose all the money Masakaki gave him. Yoga and Miss Yu hide in an alley, but the enemy's summon launches a rain of steel spheres that badly injures Miss Yu. Yoga says they should surrender because he does not want to be part of something this dangerous, but this makes Miss Yu furious, and she slaps him several times. The enemy summon fires more spheres at them and manages to hit Miss Yu, smashing her body into a structure and destroying her arm. She tells the protagonist to run, but the enemy appears and stabs into Miss Yu's torso with a dagger. The girl still manages to defend herself and escapes with Yoga. They reach another alley, and Miss Yu begins floating to heal her wounds. She explains to Yoga that landing a hit on the enemy means earning money, while taking damage means losing money. Kimimaro still does not understand anything, so he asks her to teach him how to fight. Suddenly, they are attacked again by the enemy summon, which traps Miss Yu inside a steel sphere, then launches an even bigger sphere toward the protagonist. The girl quickly tells him to counterattack and use the card to request an attack. Yoga manages to escape and releases a burst of fire that destroys the sphere and burns an entire city, giving the protagonist his first victory. Masakaki appears and congratulates Yoga, explaining that with every victory, the user can win a deal, but Yoga barely hears him and collapses asleep. The scene then shifts to Mikuni and a mysterious man, who asks if Mikuni wanted the protagonist to win. Mikuni says he is misunderstanding things, because after a long time, someone who was forced into a deal finally won. Mikuni then summons a strange creature and feeds it a card, while the creature says it does not remember anyone who was forced in and still won after him, and Mikuni begins to think Yoga might become as powerful as him. The next day, the protagonist wakes up panicking in his room, but Masakaki appears out of nowhere and tells him it was not a dream. He explains that time works differently in the real world and says he will come to pick him up again next week. He also warns him that he cannot tell anyone what happens in the district because no one will believe him anyway, but it is still a safety rule. Miss Yu tells Yoga not to worry. Yoga grabs Masakaki and asks how he can leave the district, and Masakaki answers that he must go bankrupt to be expelled, but all the money he has in the real world will disappear. He then tells the protagonist that from now on, he will see his world differently because he has entered the district. Later, Yoga waits in line to withdraw money and notices that another boy also has a black card, but he chooses to ignore him. He reaches the machine and sees that he has won 33 million yen. Then the scene shifts to Hanabi, who asks if something is wrong because it was strange not seeing him study during half the class. Yoga answers that he was just tired, then asks what she would do with 10 million yen if she had it. Hanabi says she would save it. She places her phone on the table and opens the news, which shows Mikuni in his office speaking with his investors, telling them not to fear losing money because from now on, things are going to change. His secretary then appears and hands Mikuni a sheet containing all the information about Yoga. In the evening, the protagonist is working at the store when he receives a black bill. He questions the girls about why they gave him that bill, but his boss appears to scold him. And after the girls leave, Yoga asks his boss if he does not notice anything strange about the black bill. His boss says he sees nothing unusual. Kimimaro goes to the bathroom and asks Msu if this is normal, and she says the bills are easy to mix into circulation, but it is possible someone is filtering them into the real world, and she does not know what the consequences could be. During the night, Yoga continues working and gives change to a customer. The customer gets angry because she specifically wants the black bills, but Kimimaro refuses to give them to her, and the situation is about to turn into a fight until Mikuni suddenly appears and gives the man his money instead. After that, Mikuni waits outside for the protagonist, and when Yoga comes out, he offers him a drink as thanks. Mikuni then asks if he is not used to seeing black bills yet, and Yoga gets scared, immediately questioning who he really is. Mikuni reveals that he watched Yoga's deal and congratulates him on his victory, then explains that anyone who returns from the district gains the ability to recognize black bills, money that the Midas Bank has put into circulation. He calms Yoga down by saying nothing bad will happen if he uses those bills, but he must be brave during deals, because if he is not, he will lose all his money just like his father. Yoga quickly asks if Mikuni knows his father, but Mikuni ignores the question and tells him not to be afraid. He says that if Yoga wants to stay a normal person, he can search for the truth in the district, then shows his card and walks away. Unknown to both of them, a girl has been spying on their conversation, and later that same night, we see her explaining that the financial district has existed for a long time because of an old story about a boy who made a deal with the devil to gain money and destroy a village. She then heads to the district and watches the gate connecting both worlds, saying this has happened 51 times in total, but only 11 of those cases happened purely because of deals. She is an amateur entrepreneur who enjoys watching other people's fights, and when she reaches the plaza, she steps out of her car, summons her asset named Georges, and gets transported to the roof of a building. From far away, she begins spying on Mikuni, wondering if she arrived too early for the fight. 5 days earlier, we see the protagonist remembering everything Mikuni told him and questioning the truth behind the district, while Jennifer, the girl who has been spying on him and Mikuni, follows him. It is revealed that Jennifer has been investigating the district for a long time, and her organization is spread across the world, trying to uncover the financial activities of every country. She was assigned to Tokyo to follow Mikuni because he caught the organization's attention the most, but his identity and deposits are hard to track because he has so many titles. She suspects that his intentions are not good, since his name is almost treated like a taboo and he never appears in the media, even though he is surrounded by politicians. Jennifer believes Mikuni might be the person filtering all this money into the human world and into research centers. 2 months and 2 weeks earlier, she received a mysterious deposit of 1 million yen from Masakaki, who made a pact with her and gave her permission to enter the district. Back with Yoga, we see him visiting his aunt Kyoko. Both of them drink tea, and the protagonist asks about his parents. She says they loved him very much and tells him not to think badly of them, but they suddenly disappeared overnight after they started earning a lot of money. Kyoko says they must have been dealing in stocks or something similar to make millions, and Kimimaro asks if they were doing well, but his aunt says there are apparently no records of their financial movements, almost as if they never existed. She apologizes to Yoga for not knowing more. After this, he checks some of his parents' old belongings and finds a diary. When he opens it, he is shocked to see that it is filled with notes from Midas. The protagonist asks Msu if she knows where Masakaki is, and she answers that he is probably at the bank. When Yoga questions her, she reveals that he can go to the district whenever he wants without having to fight, because deals or battles only happen once a week. Then the scene shifts to Jennifer, who is challenged to a deal by a cameraman. Both of them fight, and the rules are explained more clearly. They have 666 seconds to end the battle, and their assets, meaning their summons, only attack when the entrepreneur gives an order. The attacks are called flations, and they are divided into macro, meso, and micro. Jennifer defeats her opponent during her turn, while explaining that the size and strength of attacks depend on how much money the entrepreneur has. Every attack costs money, and if the balance reaches 0, the entrepreneur is automatically expelled from the district, because that counts as bankruptcy. Her opponent creates a gas cloud to confuse her, but Jennifer uses it to her advantage, tricks him, and stabs him from behind. She explains that with every victory, the winner takes all the loser's remaining money, so it is normal for someone to go all out from the beginning to earn as much as possible. Then we return to Yoga, who asks Masakaki about his parents, but Masakaki says he knows nothing about that and calls it only a coincidence. The protagonist shouts that it cannot be a coincidence, but Mikuni interrupts him and warns him that he is very bold for bothering Masakaki when he is still new, then quickly takes him away. Mikuni introduces him to the district's cameraman, who seems to recognize Yoga's surname, and Mikuni gives the man money so he will talk. The cameraman explains that Yoga's father was an incredible entrepreneur who was obsessed with deals and probably made a fortune, until one day someone challenged him and he had no chance. He lost everything everything and went bankrupt. The cameraman says that when someone goes bankrupt, it means they lose their future, their family, their job, and even their own identity. After his defeat, they found him. Yoga asks what kind of people his parents were, and the cameraman answers that he never interacted with his father much, but he was extremely ambitious when it came to money. Even so, he advises Yoga to give more priority to his life in the district than to his real life, because doing that will increase his earnings and help him survive longer. Otherwise, anyone stronger can take advantage of him and push him into bankruptcy. Mikuni then takes the protagonist to his favorite place, a spot where the entire city can be seen, and asks if he still wants to keep making deals now that he knows the truth. At the same time, Mikuni wonders what the reason behind his father's ambition might have been, but Kimimaro does not understand. Mikuni then shares his own story, explaining that when he was a child, his family went through a financial crisis, and his younger brother had an incurable illness. Mikuni believed that with all the money in the world, his brother could be saved, but his father invested everything into the family company instead. When Mikuni entered the district and won his first battle, he bought his father's company and took everything from him as revenge. Yoga admits that if his father were still alive, he might do the same thing. Then he shows Mikuni the diary, criticizing how it contains only numbers and nothing about his life or his mother's life. Mikuni interrupts him and says his father's motivation was probably his family, then adds that if Yoga wants money only so he can live a normal life, then he wants it only for his own selfish comfort, which makes him worse than his father. Mikuni believes money is valuable because it can be used for oneself and for other things that matter even more. He asks the protagonist if he has something that truly motivates him to earn money, then walks away from him, saying that if he does not pour his earnings into something meaningful, even if he becomes happy one day, he will have no one beside him to share it with. Mikuni then admits that after taking everything from his father, he used the money from the company and the district to improve the country's economy, revealing himself as the one filtering the money. He warns Yoga that he still has time to find his own motivation before his next deal arrives. The protagonist reaches toward Msu, but then puts her back into the card while crying over his father. We see Mikuni leaving with that strange creature, and she tells him she is surprised he did not invite Yoga into the guild. But Mikuni says nothing and only glances at Jennifer. 1 month earlier, Jennifer reported the money leak and the consequences it could bring, demanding that her boss do something. But he excused himself by saying that stopping the flow of Midas bills could be dangerous. Back in the present, Jennifer suspects that the black money must have some hidden function if they're allowing it to circulate. After this, we see the protagonist in his second deal. Mikuni wants to keep Yoga by his side, but Jennifer also wants him so she can uncover Mikuni's money filtering plan. Kimimaro is ready to fight, but then he realizes his own professor is his opponent. Their assets clash evenly, and the protagonist asks what his teacher is doing there. The professor confesses that he has been in the district for a year and a half and has earned enough money to support his family. He also reveals that his third child is about to be born, and that is why he must defeat Yoga and push him into bankruptcy.